everyone. We're going to call the Minnesota Senate Transportation Committee meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. The time is 3:09 p.m. We're in room 1100. We don't quite yet have a quorum present, so when we do so, we will declare that. It's not a huge deal because the intention today is to hear the two MnDOT agency bills and lay those on the table. I don't think anyone's prepared amendments to them. I don't know. I guess I don't know these things until the amendments are offered. All right. So, and with that, I'll invite Senator Johnson Stewart forward to chair, and I'll go to the testimony table and invite MnDOT forward as well.
So do we say all the things about the date and the time once we have a quorum, or did you already do that? So did you already say today is the date and the time? Okay, all right.
Oh, 38, yeah.
I feel a little bit like Frodo with the ring once I get this gavel. Just kidding. Senator Dibble, whenever you want to get started.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I'd like to start with Senate files at 3284 or 3824.
3284. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a typo. 3824. Senator Dibble, to your bill.
Okay, Senate file 3824 is...
Did I say it wrong again? 3824. Yes, correct. 3824.
Senate file 3824 is one of MnDOT's annual agency or policy bills. It makes a series of technical updates. First and foremost, to keep Minnesota's transportation statutes aligned with federal standards and modern engineering practices and current program needs. So, Madam Chair, the bill updates our bridge and tunnel inspection laws. It clarifies the statutory definition of a bridge and formally aligns inspection intervals with the federal national bridge inspection standards. It also aligns with the national tunnel inspection standards where required, while allowing MnDOT to follow its bridge and structure inspection program manual in other cases. Clarifies inspection responsibilities, load rating, posting requirements, quality assurance reporting to ensure we maintain strong oversight of critical infrastructure. The bill establishes a truck parking improvement program to address the shortage of safe and adequate truck parking across Minnesota. It allows grants and partnerships to expand capacity, to improve safety, support freight mobility, and leverage federal dollars. This bill establishes the framework, but it does not appropriate funding. The bill sets aside a portion of the active transportation funding for youth safety, education, and curriculum development, strengthening our commitment to safe walking and biking for young Minnesotans. And it repeals certain outdated highway designations and establishes expiration dates for a number of mandated reports in out years, in about 10 or so years. And I do believe MnDOT's goal there is to improve clarity and reduce some statutory clutter. So we have Jennifer Witt here, who will present more details about this proposal and respond to questions.
Thank you, Senator. Ms. Witt, will you introduce yourself, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Witt. I'm with MnDOT's Office of Government Affairs. So I can go through each provision and kind of talk about some of the things, and just feel free to, get my attention and ask me a question, and I'll try to answer it. So the update to the bridge statutes. This is kind of complicated, but really what it is, we're keeping our bridge standards. We're still inspecting all of our bridges on a schedule. These are the federal changes that they have made, and we're adopting them. So we're conforming to those federal mandates. We are also bringing in tunnels. Minnesota has about, I believe, 6 or so tunnels, and they don't have any scheduled inspection. They're sort of kind of outliers out of statute because they don't have really anything there. And so this brings tunnels in there as well. All of the intervals for those bridges that are deemed safe will just extend. So it's from a 12-month to 24-month or 48-month interval for inspection. And yeah, it's just for us to conform to those federal regulations.
Ms. Witt, could I interrupt just to declare
you
that we
can.
do have a quorum present? Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Ms. Witt. So my question on the bridge thing, so I understand we have to comply with federal standards, and I get that, but is it going to be more intensive inspections and it will cost the entities more in the long run? I mean, because again, there's MnDOT, there's counties, there's cities, they all have their bridges. I just don't know the comparative inspection program versus what we're doing now and what the compliance is, but we always talk about unfunded mandates and those things. So I just want to make sure that, are we putting any more costs on MnDOT, the state, the city, or the counties to do these inspections the new way, I guess is what I'm, plain way of putting it?
Ms. Witt?
Chair, Senator, no, we are not putting additional mandates on them. They're still going to inspect their bridges. It will be on a lessened schedule, provided their bridges are in good condition. And so, I mean, it's just really focusing on those that are low risk and giving them an extended time frame. So I believe it goes down by about 2,000 inspections per year total. So. And that's not to say that they won't be inspected. They will. It's just a longer time frame between inspections.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I have a follow-up, Ms. Witt. So you said you're adding the tunnels to the inspection cycle. How were tunnels inspected before? Were they just, I mean, I'm certain that MnDOT was inspecting them. I'm just curious how they fit into the overall inspection program.
It's my understanding that, Chair, it's my understanding that, yes, MnDOT was inspecting tunnels. We are just now putting them on a time frame, and they are defining them, and they are, you know, it will be kind of on the same, I don't want to say schedule, but it will be like the bridge
Rotation.
inspection where they will go through and they will say, okay, if your tunnel is, you know, good, then you maybe get an extended time frame to inspect it.
Okay, thank you. Senator McEwen.
Thank you. I also have a question about the bridge inspection work, and that is, I am wondering what portion of the bridge inspection work is conducted in-house by MnDOT staff, and which portion is contracted out? How much is contracted out versus done by in-house staff?
Ms. Witt.
Chair, Senator McEwen, I really don't know, but I do know that we do do an awful lot of our own bridge inspections. We have, you know, they're called snopes, and they're those apparatuses that go, you know, they have a big long arm and they go underneath the bridge and they inspect it from that way. But I don't know the actual, you know, breakdown, but I can find that out for you if you'd like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator McEwen.
Thank you. I was just going to ask if you could follow up with the information when you have a chance. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
I'll
Senator.
just ask that that information be provided to our office, and we'll distribute that to the entire committee as well.
Yep.
Thank you, Senator Dibble. I just want to offer up, and then Senator Nelson, I'll call on you. The bridge inspection program and certification is different than the bridge construction certification. And from my experience, I'm certain it hasn't changed much. It's a completely different process, and highly specialized, and I would venture to say that that's something MnDOT does mostly in-house. But again, we'll get that information out to everybody, but that was my understanding. It was very difficult to rise to the level of expertise to be an actual bridge condition inspector, and something that, frankly, my company never did. Senator Jasinski, is this in relation to that? Because Senator Nelson is next. All right, Senator Jasinski and then Senator Nelson.
Sorry, Senator Nelson, but to that point, so again, MnDOT has like, my numbers show about 4,500 bridges, the counties have 9,000, and cities and townships have about 7,500. So again, from the MnDOT standpoint, you have your own staff, but how about the counties and the cities? Do they have their own staff people do that? Or is this contracted, or is this MnDOT inspections of those bridges? I'm just wondering how that falls within. Again, I understand the MnDOT, you would do your own, but the counties and the cities and the townships, how does that, is that outsourced, or is that done in-house by the counties? If you could just comment on that as well.
Thank you, Senator Jasinski. Ms. Witt?
Chair, Senator, I do believe that we actually do some inspections of county and city bridges. Which ones, I'm not sure. But I can certainly find that out for you, like how that split goes. So I'll find that out, as well as the question asked by Senator McEwen, and I'll get that to the chair so you can distribute it out.
Thank you, Senator Jasinski. Senator Nelson.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. My question has to do with bridges as well. And can you talk to me a little bit about how this would affect private vehicle bridges?
Ms. Witt?
I do know it, Chair, Senator, I do know it does affect private vehicular bridges, but I'm not sure in what way.
Madam Chair, I think
Just
it's
take a quick look here.
in those instances, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Senator.
I believe it's in those instances when those private bridges cross public
Oh,
roads.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. How about this? How about, or they're adjacent is what I was just fed.
Yeah.
Okay, Senator Carlson, or Nelson, sorry.
So I do understand that it's those bridges that are immediately connected to a public road. I get that. And I think I only know of one in my district, but there could be others, I'm not sure. But the thing that drew my attention was that that bridge needs to be inspected at the expense of the bridge owner. And I don't know if that's always the case, if this is new. People who have private bridges, do they know about this? And how often does it have to be inspected?
Ms. Witt, do you know anything about that?
I do know a little bit about that. Yes, they have to be inspected. It is at their expense. And it's always been that way as far as I know. I don't know what when they notify them, or even if we do, if you have to, send a notification that your bridge needs to be inspected. But I do know that MnDOT keeps a database, and so they would have to send those results to the database so that we know sort of where everything is at with the bridges in the state. And I mean, I think that's for pretty much every bridge. So yeah, they would have to pay for it themselves, but they've already been doing that.
Thank you.
Thank
Senator
you.
Nelson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was just kind of my question. So they already know what to do. They already know how to do that. This is really nothing new then.
Ms. Witt?
Yes, Chair and Senator, I believe that's true. I mean, I don't think they're doing anything new with the actual inspection itself. It's just the intervals and sort of what is defined as a bridge, some few other little technical things, really.
Okay. All right, anybody else? Senator Jasinski?
Sorry, this is just, the bridge thing keeps going and going here, but and when Senator Nelson brought up the private bridge issue, I know there's one up in International Falls that connects International Falls to Fort Francis, and I think that's a private bridge. I think it was owned by the paper mill or something up there, and I know there's been issues with that. I know that MnDOT's been working to try and replace that bridge, but does that put more more costs onto that privately owned bridge? Because I'm assuming that's not in very good condition, so I'm assuming that's probably a high-level one that's going to require more inspections. Do you know anything on that, specifically on that bridge? I know I'm testing your memory here today. I apologize for that, but it just, when Senator Nelson brought it up, it brought my memory of that up about that bridge.
Ms. Witt?
Chair, Senator, I don't know anything about that bridge, but I can tell you that if it's in poor condition, it's definitely going to need more inspections more frequently. And, you know, if it is in poor condition, it's probably going to cost more. And as we go, you know, everything goes up year by year, so I would assume that the cost for that would go up as well.
So, okay, all right, Senator Dibble.
Madam Chair, I think that bridge was on one of our bonding tours. Did you make a video in front of that bridge?
I have never seen, I mean, I've been to, Senator, I have been to International Falls just once, and I wasn't able to get on that bridge, but I'd love to see it. But no, I have no experience either.
We were going to, Madam Chair, we were going to walk across. We even brought our little, like, credentials. We were going to have this cool walk into Canada, but it didn't happen. It was very disappointing.
Dang.
But
All
I'm
right,
trying to
well, we'll put
remember,
that on the Post-it note for next
yeah.
time.
Senator Jasinski, is that bridge still privately operated? Does it take a toll and it doesn't
Madam
generate
Chair,
revenue?
Senator Dibble, I believe, yes, I believe that is still private. I also go through customs, and I can't remember which side is the customs on. I think obviously going over, it's on the other side, and coming back, it's on our side. But again, I know there was some discussion about that, rerouting that, and it was a big bonding discussion on money needed for the new bridge because this one was failing and that it was a private bridge. And I know the U.S. Congressional and Senate was in discussions with that. So that's my question. If we could find out more on that one, that would be interesting to hear what's going on with that. So thank you. That was on a bonding tour.
Senator Jasinski, I will personally commit to finding out more about that bridge. I'll work with Ms. Witt to find out more about it. And Commissioner Daubenberger, do you guys know she's a bridge engineer?
Yes,
you
she
probably
is.
know that, as she used to be the state bridge engineer, and she probably could answer that question. Okay, back to you. Ms. Witt, do you have anything else you want to talk about besides bridges today?
Chair, of course. So I was just going to go down my little line. The modernization of legislative, this is what we're calling it, the modernization of legislatively mandated reports. So I'm sort of giving the legislature my job. It used to be where I would do all the legislatively mandated reports. I will just show you, this is in 8-point font. This is how many reports there are in a year, okay? So that's a lot. So to be more efficient, this costs us a lot of money. We have to write them up, an office writes them up, we have to format them, we have to make them accessible, we have to put them online, we have to save them in our official EDOC system, which is, forever. We have to pay for that. And we send them to the library, so they have to hold them. So this is a whole huge thing for a lot of reports that I don't know how many of you actually read them.
Ms. Witt, I want you to know I read every single one of them.
Yeah, Madam Chair,
I can believe that.
Tom Watson and Krista Boyd, they have
You
a
guys
stack
do?
of reports by their bedside. That's what they do every night.
I think
with a cup
Senator
of tea.
Jasinski wants to comment on this as well.
Well, Madam Chair, I think I've been quizzed on a couple of those, and I think I got an A. I think your comment to me was that was an A for you to understand the reports. I just want to bring that up, Ms. Witt, that I do read them, and you have tested me before.
Oh, Ms. Witt, I'd like your comment, please.
Chair, Senator, yes, I did quiz him because one of the things I used to say when I was actually doing the reports was, if I have to write them and do all these things to them, I should be able to come in here and test all of you. And he called me up after the Corridors of Commerce report was released, and yes, I gave him a quiz, but it was on the spot. I can tell you I would have given him some questions had I had time to think about it, but yes, he did get an A, yes.
Just want that on record. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Let the record show that Senator Jasinski passed the quiz.
Right. So we're giving you 10 years, and we're just saying, the major highway projects report costs us, $100,000 a year to do, and it's in statute in perpetuity. So maybe we could put some of those things online in that 10 years so that we can take them out of the report. And we want to satisfy you. We want to give you the things that you want, the data. But, doing all this work for, some reports that sit around all the time, I think we can do better. And so 10 years, some of them are not eligible for this, such as our core plans. We're not going to take out MnDOT or those things that are required federally. So this would just be those reports that kind of, are there. And we don't think anybody really looks at them, or not enough people. So that's the second part of it. Then we would authorize MnDOT to enter into public-private partnerships for truck parking, as Senator Dibble mentioned. We have a huge shortage. I've heard that there are over 26,000 long-haul truck trips per day in Minnesota and only 4,800 publicly accessible parking spaces. So this is obviously an issue. It's an issue around the country. And so we just are asking for authorization so that we can look into this and try to figure out maybe how we could use this and provide some more truck parking. And then there's the Active Transportation Program Safety Education Flexibility. Long name. Our Office of Transit and Active Transportation, or OTAT as we call it, they want greater flexibility within this. We were required in statute to take the first $500,000 off the top and create education for several different groups. Well, we've created that education for most of the groups, and we still have an awful lot of money. So we are thinking maybe 10% is more reasonable. That gives us a little bit more flexibility to provide those things that the community wants in active transportation, while still keeping the education piece intact. It's online. I can send you all a link to our work on that, but yeah. And the last one in this particular bill removes 4 scenic byways.
Ms. Witt, I'm
Yes.
so sorry, I was
Yes.
taking a note down. So moving from 500,000 to 10%, can you give us an idea of what 10% would be? Ms. Witt?
Chair. So I asked our people, and they said it's about $265,000.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
Yep. So the last piece in this is to remove 4 scenic byways from statute. Now, this does not in any way take any of their national stance away, okay? They are still all scenic byways if this goes into effect, and they remain scenic byways. They were enacted and they were put into statute before the legislature did 161.139, which is highway sign costs. We can't pay for them with trunk highway funds. And all scenic byways are supposed to be signed, some of them very specialized with bronze plaques and things, and we can't do it. So we've talked with the Minnesota Scenic Byway Commission, and they were happy with this. And if we take them out, then they can be signed through them.
Senator Dibble?
So Madam Chair, did you know that there was a Scenic Byway Commission?
I did.
Oh, okay, I knew you would. Senator Jasinski, did you know there was a Scenic Byway Commission?
I did.
Sorry. We studied all day for this
As
hearing.
I understand, they're still able to do the scenic byways and, do all the things that they need to do, plus do the memorial plaques and all that sort of thing. It just does not need to exist in statute.
Excellent. I think Senator Nelson has a question. Senator?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question about the truck parking. And I understand that there's a need for more truck parking. My question is really kind of along the lines of, well, a lot of times we see these truck stops that have lots of trucks stopping at them. And so are those, even though they're private, are those truck parking spaces included in your inventory of truck parking spaces? That's one question. And kind of then the follow-up question is, does the state of Minnesota need to pay for more truck parking spaces if there are spaces available at truck stops? So those are my questions.
Ms. Witt?
Chair, Senator, so as for the inventory, I don't know if those are counted, but guess who I brought?
Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Andrew Jusko. I am the statewide freight and railroad planning director for the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Madam Chair, Senator Nelson, thank you for that question. I think it's a great way of kind of setting a tone and frame of reference as to why we're asking what we are. It's important to understand that we have a statewide shortage of truck parking and a national shortage of truck parking. This is one of the top issues for truck drivers year after year. And the reality is that we can't provide enough truck parking for MnDOT alone. The most efficient way of helping to solve this issue might be working with the private sector. And even truck stops themselves cannot serve all the truckers and the need that exists out there. The fact of the matter is, there is a significant shortage, a gap of funding for transportation as a sector as a whole. This particular issue is impacted because there are a wide variety of other needs that are out there. And if we can work together with the private sector to help address things like the killing of Jason Rivenberg, who was murdered over $10, I think that that's the right thing to do. Did I answer your questions?
Senator Nelson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, you did. I don't know the details on somebody being murdered for $10. Was that at a public truck stop or a private truck stop? Or I didn't quite understand the connection there.
Yeah, it's
Mr. Driscoll?
a great question, Madam Chair. Senator Nelson. Jason Rivenberg was a truck driver. He was searching for a safe place to rest. Jason actually went to an abandoned gas station to rest, to follow his legally mandated hours of service. And he was murdered for that because he could not find a safe place to rest. His name is memorialized in the National Jason's Law Survey that identifies issues around truck parking as part of the National Coalition on Truck Parking. We remember him today because there hasn't been enough action, whether it be from the government, from private sector, to address this issue yet. And this has been decades in the making, so.
Thank you.
Madam Chair? Madam
Yeah,
Chair?
Senator Nelson.
Just a follow-up. So I will visit with my truck drivers to get a sense. Maybe there's a reason why they wouldn't want to park at a truck stop, or they'd want to park at a government truck stop. I don't know, but I will definitely listen to my constituents. But I do think it is important to, I liked what you said about working with the private sector. Maybe if they don't have enough truck spots, maybe we can help incent some more spots at a private spot. So just something to consider. I appreciated your comments.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. Anybody else? Senator Jasinski?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator Nelson. I agree, and I think that's a public-private partnership. I think is a good thing to do. Is your intent to fund the construction and overturn the maintenance with that? Because obviously, if you work with the business to, let's say, free up some more spaces in there, is there money then set aside for maintenance down the road? Again, I think it's a good thing, and I think a lot of it goes back to when the truck drivers had to do the iPads basically, and they're given a very small amount of time before they have to shut their truck down or they're penalized. So that's why you see a lot of them on ramps and off ramps having to park there because there's no other spot to park, and they have to park, otherwise they get fined. Or I don't know the whole process on that, but I know because of the iPads they all carry that are required now that they don't have a lot of time, so they have to park at these on ramps and off ramps because otherwise they're penalized. So I like the public-private partnership. I think that's a good thing as long as people understand why we're doing that. The safety is one thing, and again, getting them off the road is important. So thank you.
Thank you. Senator Dibble, you had something to add?
A couple of things. One is just to build on some of these comments. People get kind of itchy around the word public-private or privatization, and this, this isn't like privatizing government services per se. We're not really in the business, and MnDOT, I don't think, wants to start owning truck parking facilities. We don't want them to either, but we do want MnDOT to be in a role of helping cite, helping facilitate, helping make this happen. And there might be some role for some public dollars to spark and spur some of that. Very, very important for the reasons that were discussed. Truckers, we want truckers to rest. We don't want them to be driving around. Plus they can't. They're now tracked very, very closely by their shippers and their employers. I went on a ride along. If you haven't done that yet with the Trucking Association, do that. It's really, really fun and really interesting. Plus they let you, hit the horn, and it's little kids going like this, and so that's fun. But it's also for the problem that maybe a lot of us have heard about, which is we all have constituents who are truckers, and they can't park their truck anywhere close to their house, and that, they still need to park their truck somewhere, but at least they can find a safe spot to stash their truck, when they're in between trips, that's at the edge of town or, somewhere relatively close by that's a legitimate place to park their truck. You don't want them parking in the neighborhood, no one does, but you want them parked somewhere that's convenient and proximate. So this would help that too.
Yeah, actually, a follow-up to your question, or your statement. So the trucking that you're talking about, is that along interstates and trunk highways, or is that actually supplemental trucking available for truckers as well? So it would be mostly adjacent to highways, I assume, Ms. Witt?
Chair, I guess I hadn't thought about it that way, but I mean, I'm sure there would be a lot along that, but I think we could think about other things. There's, highways all over the place too. And I believe we did a little public-private partnership at one of the rest areas that also is a welcome center. And so, we could do it, that happens to be along a big highway, but we could do it along we could at least look at them, look at those places, whether it's a trunk highway or not, a highway. We could look at those smaller roads too.
Very good. Any other comments from Senator Jasinski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is probably the last end of the day comments because I know we're going on. But again, I agree with Senator Dibble. To go along with the Minnesota Truckers Association and actually tour. I have a trucking firm in Medford called Trailer Trucking, and got to do a meet there. And the requirements that these trucking companies are facing these days with the requirements for insurance and the iPads and all the different things are very restrictive. So, and they're transporting our goods across the nation. They're getting our farms, corn, beans across the market, our manufacturing facilities, all their products are being transferred. So again, I think it's a great idea to spend some time and see what these trucking companies actually have to go through. Again, Trailer Trucking in Medford does a phenomenal job meeting all the requirements and making sure that our goods are getting across the state. So thank you.
Yeah, Senator Jasinski, I want to expound on that a little bit. I rode with the trucking association, and it's really amazing the technology they're required to have, the mirrors they're responsible for. But we spent our time driving back and forth along mostly Highway 212 because of all the J turns and the roundabouts. I really wanted to see how truckers experience those kinds of tight geometry. So if you get a ride in a truck, I would really encourage you to ask them to take you on a J-turn or a reduced conflict U-turn. You guys know what I'm talking about. Just, it's a totally different perspective from up in a truck to see how, frankly, how they're designed to accommodate the tracking and everything. So it was really interesting, and I highly recommend that. Is there any other comments on this bill from anyone? Senator Herr.
I know that we only have two bills, so, it doesn't hurt to add little comments there. That, firsthand, I support this bill, and firsthand, I have experienced dropping a friend off on a number of times. He's a truck driver, so he lives in White Bear Lake, and I live inside St. Paul, but during time when none of his family was available to drop him off to get his truck or go to work, then they call on me, and I've been doing that, for some years now, and I would take him from White Bear Lake all the way to Stillwater, and where they interstate the border to get his truck, and having this legislation is a lead for improvement, whether it's of that the rest area of that or some add-on some other spot in our state. So it's a good bill.
Thank you, Senator Herr. Senator Dibble, do you have anything else?
I don't. Ms. Witt, do you have anything further to present on?
Nope, not on that bill. I have a whole nother bill, though.
All right, thank you. So, Madam Chair, I would request that we lay this bill on the table for possible further
All right.
inclusion in a future bill.
So, we lay the Senate File 3824 over for possible inclusion in the Transportation Omnibus Bill. Do I have to, Tomp this?
Oh, always feels good. That's,
Thank you.
gonna whack it.
All right. All right, moving on. The next thing we have on the agenda is simply an informational hearing on Senate File 3988. This will be introduced tomorrow on the floor. Senator Dibble?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So what will become Senate File 3988, it just exists as a twinkle in our eye right now, but an idea in our head and some words on a piece of paper, it will become a Senate file at session tomorrow, is another housekeeping and efficiency bill, agency policy bill that updates, has a few things it does. It updates cost thresholds, makes changes to dedicated cost thresholds on highway projects, makes changes to dedicated rail funds, changes decision-making about safety at railroad crossings, and removes some other obsolete language. So first, it modernizes the definition of a modern major highway project in terms of cost thresholds that were set a number of years ago, increasing from 15 million to 30 million for the metro area and from 5 to 15 for greater Minnesota. Ensures that the enhanced reporting requirements for major projects are appropriately focused on projects of larger scale. Second, it strengthens some accountabilities in our, what we call MRSI, Minnesota Rail Service Improvement Program. It clarifies when the state is reimbursed by railroads for railroad improvement investments, make sure they're deposited back into the account and invested into rail infrastructure statewide, supports economic development, preserves critical freight corridors. It changes, it touches on safety at railroad crossings, in terms of silencing of crossing bells, where there is an active warning system in place. It prohibits the silencing of those bells. That may or may not be controversial. We'll find out. It removes a reference to the Pine Creek Border Airport, which does not exist any longer, and repeals the outdated statutory designation of the Hiawatha Pioneer Trail highway route. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
All right. Ms. Witt can expound further upon the bill and its provisions.
Thank you. Ms. Witt?
Thank you, Chair. So Pine Creek was created quite some time ago. It's been operating for about 70 years. And it was first a Minnesota-only airport. It was a turf airport, and it needed to expand, but there was a road in the way. So they got an international agreement with Canada, made this nice airport that crosses the border. Everybody had their half and paid for it up until now. The airport isn't used much anymore, and the costs to maintain mostly the runway, which is in very poor shape, are $3.8 million. So when Canada heard that, they exercised their right to not sign on to another agreement for a certain amount of time and exited the agreement. And then when that happened, Minnesota did the same. So the airport's been closed for about a year. We just need to take this stuff out of statute so that it's not confused. You know, nobody's asking, well, what's the Pine Creek Airport? So that one's pretty easy. The Mercy program. What happened with the Mercy program was there was a little bit of money left over in one of the accounts, and we tried to work with a rail provider and get them a little loan. They were good for a loan, which is how the program started. It actually used to only give loans. And MMB said, oh, no. It's not clear how many accounts there are for Mercy, and it really isn't clear about you giving loans for Mercy. So we worked with them, and this is the product. So it definitely separates the two accounts, says there are two accounts, and it also states that we can give loans. So this won't ever happen again. And like I said, this started out as a loan program. The grant program was brought in much later. So, yeah. The crossing bells. So this is not about quiet zones. This is about the arms that come down when trains are going to come and cross in front of you, and you're in a vehicle or you're walking across or you have your bike, whatever. Those arms that come down, excuse me. There's bells on there, and those bells are for people who maybe have, sight issues, right, where they can't see very well. And right now, it seems like we've been asked, MnDOT has been asked a couple of times to silence those bells, and we have not done so. The commissioner has not signed off, but this will actually prohibit any commissioner here from silencing those bells. So we can't do it. That's our goal, is to keep those safe, keep those arms when they come down, making that noise. And this only is for public crossings. If a community has a private road and they have a private gate system, they don't have to abide by that. But for all public crossings, the commissioner has jurisdiction over that. And so, yeah, it would be for all crossings.
I'm just going to
But
jump
not-
in. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, but not Met, or not LRT. That is the responsibility, and we'd like it to remain so under Met Council. And, yeah, so I don't know if that was your
No,
statement. Okay.
I was just going to just mention, and, maybe Ms. Witt can talk about what is a quiet zone and how those are established. Those have more to do with the trains themselves sounding their horns as they're
Yes.
moving through a community or a small town. Obviously, those horns are very, very loud. And communities petition for a quiet zone, which of course means there needs to be gates. But unfortunately, the gates then also have the bells, so it's not truly quiet other than the really, really loud train horns
Right.
are mitigated or ameliorated to some extent.
I know Senator Nelson has a question. Is yours related to train crossings?
It is.
Okay, Senator Nelson?
So you, Senator Dibble, you answered much of my question, so no problem with the bells. But I do want to know about the whistles. And where do you petition to have those whistles stopped at quiet hours, midnight, 1 a.m.? Who, is it the local unit of government where the trains go through at that point? Or where do you petition for that?
Senator Nelson, I will say it's not as easy as it sounds, but Ms. Witt, you can answer the question.
Yes, we have a chair, Senator, we have a whole website devoted to this concept of quiet zones, and that includes the train whistles and horns. And I did ask about the difference between the horn from the train and the noise our gates, like the whistles on the gates would make. And we are talking about like a 200 decibel
Right.
increase. The horns are hugely loud. Now, if you are talking about the gates themselves and the whistles no, you're talking about the train, that you have to apply, you apply with us, and then you apply with the federal government, because it's a federal program. And then you have to get money lined up within, if you want that, if you have to do anything, like add gates, let's say, because the train isn't going to sound its horn anymore, then you may have to add gates. Then you would have to get the money for that.
Senator Nelson, you good? Okay. Back to you, Ms. Witt.
Okay. The next one is updating the threshold on the major highway projects report. As Senator Dibble told you, we would like these thresholds to be moved up. This report was put into statute in 2008 after the bridge collapsed. And at that time, it was $25 million for Metro and $10 million for Greater Minnesota. And then in 2012, I don't know why, but they reduced those thresholds to $15 million in Metro and $5 million in Greater Minnesota. Those are pretty low thresholds. And if you want to have some delineation of like a major, what you would think of as a very large project, I mean, you are talking about Blotnick Bridge compared to a mill and overlay. And those mill and overlays are being pulled into this report, and it's just, it's over 400 pages at this point. So we want to move those up a little bit so that we are not bringing in so many projects into that report. And the last thing is, as Senator Dibble alluded to or explained, we're going to remove an inactive designated trail. This trail was created in 1964. It was 4 governors from Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota that decided that this was a good idea. It's called the Hiawatha Pioneer Trail. There's an actual little sign that we are supposed to be putting up. We don't, because the trail is really defunct. It was supposed to connect tourists and give them ideas of what to do along this trail, these special things. I think there were about 90 different little sites that you could go and see that they had listed. But this trail is defunct. All the other states have taken it out of statute. We need to take it out of statute too. I will tell you that I really want it out of statute every time I have my GPS on. And it depends on which one you use, but it comes up and it says, turn left at Pioneer Hiawatha Trail, Vermilion Street, Highway 61. And so, I mean, it's very confusing. I could see how it would be confusing. I know where I'm going at that point, but somebody who didn't would go, what do you mean? Where's Hiawatha Trail? I don't know what that is. So, you know, it just needs to be taken out so that it's not stated on any GPS, because they go by what we have in law, and, you know, we don't have to sign for it. And that's my spiel.
Members, any questions? Senator Dibble, do you have any closing remarks?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee, for, as always, your attention and fantastic questions and discussion. We don't have anything to do right now on Senate File 3988 because it doesn't actually exist.
So we don't have to take any, we don't have to make any movement or any
Correct.
laying it on the tables?
None of that,
Okay.
Yeah. But then we'll do this like weird little kabuki on Monday where we'll take it from the table and put it back on the table, and then it will exist. And then at some point in the future, we'll have some conversation about whether we like it or like the elements of it or want to change elements of it. And as we compile the committee's omnibus bill, we'll have some conversation offline with Senator Jasinski about what he likes and or what, you know, what all of you like and what you don't. And we'll figure it out together.
All right.
All right. If you want to ask Ms. Ethier for any announcements, and then we can adjourn.
Ms. Ethier, are there any announcements?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will let everyone know that Senator Johnson Stewart will be presenting in our next hearing these are more agency bills. These are dealing with Department of Public Safety, and within them, driver and vehicle services issues.
Thank you. Senator Dibble, do you have anything else?
At some point, Madam Chair, we're going to pull, I'm not sure when exactly, but we'll pull the transportation section of the governor's bonding proposal to this committee for presentation and discussion. Even though it's not before this committee, I think it's important for us to know and deliberate and respond, react, and make suggestions to that to inform the work of the bonding committee.
Great. Anybody else?
Oh.
Go ahead.
So we need to say farewell to Senator Pa, who's leaving the Transportation Committee. This is her final meeting with us, and so we've loved having you as a part of our committee. We're still on bonding together, so I'm happy about that, along with Senator Jasinski and Senator Nelson. But you've been a fantastic member of Team Transpo. We'll miss you. And then you see a nameplate for Senator Hemmingson Yeager. She'll be joining us at our next hearing.
Great. Thank you, Senator Pa, for your service on this committee. All right, with that, can I adjourn us?
Yep.
All right, with that, we're adjourned.